Recently, we saw the Black Uprising, and now they demand a black Jesus. Since whiteness is a sign of oppression and persecution, they want a Jesus of their own color. Even the Archbishop of Canterbury said that we made a mistake of portraying Jesus always as a white man. The figure of Jesus has gone through so many transformations. Perhaps it is Caravaggio who made a drastic change in the paintings of Jesus. According to V. A. Taylor, Caravaggio and Rembrandt, who respectively attempted to portray Jesus outside the representational theological norm or orthodox heritage. One of the most famous examples of this is Caravaggio's Calling of St. Matthew, in which Jesus appears in the dark confines of a tavern, seeking the tax collector Matthew. While the painting alludes to Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, with Jesus' hand reaching out to Matthew, the contrast is realistic and gritty, a primary instance of Caravaggio's naturalism. Jesus in the painting has a realistic human body. He occupies a human space in which the ambient light commingles with divine light to form a faint halo above his head. His common robe contrasts with the fine apparel of Matthew and his attendants. Jesus is finally ordinary and material, outside the implastic heritage subjectivity of the Catholic Church at that time. One could even go so far as to say that Caravaggio's paintings make a sacred in general profane, as with the Death of the Virgin, in which Andrew Graham Dixon states that never before in the history of Christian paintings had Mary, Mother of God, been made to seem as poor and frail and vulnerable as this. Wearing a simple dress, a red dress, unlaced at the bodice to make her more comfortable in her last moments, she lies stretched out on the makeshift view of a plank wood. She looks shockingly dead. St. Matthew and the Angel, this is also another painting of Caravaggio, was reported to have pleased nobody. Giovanni Pietro Bellori describes the rejection of the painting by the priest. After he had finished the center picture of St. Matthew and installed it on the altar, the priest took it down, saying that the figure with its legs crossed and its feet rudely exposed to the public had neither decorum nor the appearance of a saint. That, of course, was Caravaggio's aesthetic and theological vision, to make Christ and his followers look a lot more like beggars than cardinals. Even in the paintings of Rembrandt, we see not a Jesus of heroic figure embodying suffering, but as an inward, undemonstrative being who compels reverence by his very existence in the mind and imagination of the beholder. My favorite painting of Caravaggio is Supper at Emmaus. It is where we see the sublime nature of Caravaggio's art, his uncanny ability to mix light with shadow. In Caravaggio's paintings, we can never decipher where light ends and shadow begins. He makes shadow to emanate a strange light. It is shadow which makes figures clear. In his painting, Jesus is very tired. If we ask him, "Why are you so tired?" he may say, "Yesterday I had a violent death." It is as if he is still suffering from it. This resurrected Jesus is really human and material, not a spiritual Jesus. Caravaggio makes perhaps Jesus and rescues Jesus from the triumphalism of resurrection. In all other paintings nowadays, we a triumphant Jesus, but the Caravaggio's Jesus is more human, shockingly human.